Thank you very much, and good morning. I'm about to visit His Majesty the King to offer my resignation and close the book on my time as Prime Minister. My work is done. In 6.5 years, I took our party from a historic defeat in 2019, changed it so it was fit to face the country, and won a landslide general election victory in 2024. Since then, it has been the privilege of my life to serve you and this great country.
The challenge is, let's be frank, pretty enormous. He is going to want to frame his premiership as soon as he gets here, as soon as he meets the applause of his supporters, his friends and allies. His mum is here in the audience, standing outside number 11. And of course, in his first speech to the nation as well as Prime Minister, he's going to be talking directly to voters to frame his premiership and the kind of Prime Minister that he wants to be, because this is really someone who has not been tested in the white heat of an election. He has not been tested in the cauldron of hustings to the party leader even. But we do know a bit about what his vision is for the country. Devolution, handing back powers out of Westminster to the proud industrial heartlands that he believes generations of politicians have failed to serve. And also a focus on the cost of living. I mean, look, we've heard that before, let's be honest. We've heard it from Keir Starmer too. Will this time be any different? Andy Burnham, in interviews this week, has spoken about giving more breathing room to people who are struggling to get by. What policies will he announce immediately, quickly, to try and prove that he is a Prime Minister on the side of us, as he put it in his speech as Labour leader? He's waited a long time for it. He's tried to become Labour leader twice before and failed. He's been third time lucky. This is a man who for over a decade has been coveting the top job, the number 10 position. And we are going to find out very quickly, in the weeks, the days, even the hours and minutes ahead, just how much thinking Andy Burnham has put into what he wants to do in that job at number 10. How much serious thinking? Because there is no hiding place when you get in here. And I think we will find out if he does have the policies, the vision, and to be honest as well, the authority to deliver on that programme of government. We're watching his car there travelling through central London as he moves from Buckingham Palace to number 10, and very, very shortly he is going to arrive in an absolutely packed Downing Street. Beth Rigby is here with me as well. Beth, what are we going to be expecting in the moments ahead?
Well, I mean, the excitement in the street now is palpable, as you were saying. His mum's here, his children are here, dozens of his supporters and his allies, and the cars are now pulling into Downing Street. And we are going to hear from Andy Burnham as for the first time he talks to the country as our new Prime Minister. He's just coming up the street now.
He's about to get out of the car. You can hear the helicopters overhead, I'm sure. You can hear the applause, and that applause is about to get even louder as the new Prime Minister arrives.
me there is Andy Burnham's mum. She couldn't be prouder watching her son become Prime Minister, and he is embraced as my pen, sorry. There he is with his wife, Mary Rodds, who he met at Fitzwilliam in Cambridge, where I also went. So there you go, there's my Andy Burnham connection.
To be honest, sometimes I actually have no idea what's going on until I open Monday.com. And boom, everything's there. Statuses, timelines, budgets, all in one clear dashboard. And if I want to send something up the chain, 2 clicks, and it's a beautiful report. You're welcome. And now that AI is basically baked into everything we do, I've got even more clarity. It shows me which projects actually align to our yearly goals, flags issues before they eat up time and budget. It's like having a built-in me in every project. It even recommends the right team members for each task. And I know it sounds like you have to have a PhD to use AI, but with Monday.com, it couldn't be easier. I mean, hands down, I have no idea how I kept it all together before.
Start your free trial today at Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use.
Thank you. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. In doing so, I am acutely conscious that I am the 6th person in the last 10 years to walk up this street, the 7th Prime Minister since 2016, making this a moment for reflection and new resolution. It requires my generation of politicians to raise our game and rise to the new challenge. Britain needs to show the world that we can regain our stability once again. And that is our challenge, to make politics work, to make it work better. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be. We will make this moment a circuit breaker for Britain, bringing forward the biggest changes in the last 40 years. A new political model and a new economic model. In the 1980s, Britain took some wrong turns. Political power was centralised, economic power privatised, large parts of the country deindustrialised, and they still haven't recovered. Many feel as though they're still in decline, and they don't have the ability to turn things around. And that's why we will change politics, to make it more collaborative, more about problem solving than point scoring. And we will take power out of here and carry it into every postcode in the land so that they can do more. And in doing more, build a new economy where we put life's essentials back under stronger public control to make them affordable to you again. Reindustrialising Britain, using public procurement to back British industry. Later this year, I will bring forward a new plan for Britain, a 10-year plan, laying out a path from where we are now to where I believe we all want Britain to be, wherever we're coming from, whatever party we support. But I can do something to give people some breathing space now.
Everyone thinks they know the market, but do you really know where to move?
Where?
No,
It means nothing
the man
without the why.
You know what I mean?
Why? But how do you find who to...
For them. We will help more young people into work by changing the education system and giving them more support, more mental health support. And we will build more council homes. That is the fair and sustainable way to bring the welfare bill down, to meet our fiscal rules and to honour our commitments on defence to our international partners. We will help people to live well, building a more preventative state, investing in people's success rather than paying for failure. And that work starts now. I will soon go through that door behind me and issue my first instruction to end rough sleeping in our country. It's about putting the right values and the right standards at the heart of government. I will put the care of people at the heart of everything I do. I will give this my all, and I ask you all to pull with me. Let's build a new national sense of unity, of common purpose and positivity. Let us make this the moment when Britain starts to believe again, the moment we bring back hope. Thank you very much, everybody.
How do you rent? I kick out Starman, how they got this money? Andy Burnham. Wow. Huh. To prove his now, isn't it? stage.
Andy Burnham, the new Prime Minister, acutely aware, he says, that he is the fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. On the steps at Downing Street. After doing his speech, he first went to his wife, he then went to his youngest grandmaid, but he spent the longest time with his mother. And that hug with his mother, I think perhaps showed the moment of his political ambitions being realised and what it meant to that family. And now the hard work starts. He's inside Downing Street. He's meeting
Antonio Romeo, who is the Cabinet Secretary, and now he's going to greet the staff. But wasn't that a moment, Sophie? He walked up Downing Street, and at the far end is his mother Eileen and his children. He blew her a kiss before he gave the speech, and she blew one back. And then he gave her the longest of embraces, and what a moment for his mum to see her son become Prime Minister. Quite something.
We've got some detail as well of what's expected. He said that he will set out a 10-year plan for Britain later this year, but he said that there are some things that he can do more swiftly, including measures on the cost of living. That, of course, as we expected, will be his immediate priority, and he said that he will have some more details on that tomorrow, including how it's going to be paid for. So that, I think, one of the first policy priorities. And the first pledge, we had the first pledge as well, which was to end rough sleeping in this country, in his words.
Yeah, let's go through that speech. It was number one, it was a very well constructed.
Okay, great. Wait, were you even listening? You haven't taken a single note this entire meeting?
See, they shouldn't have all these adverts on.
And so, one of the things that the Labour Party wanted in Andy Burnham was someone that could communicate with the country, and there was a complete change there. He gave that without notes. He was very expansive, expressive. In terms of the content of it, he first acknowledged, in his words, that the politicians of his generation needed to raise their game, as he put it. He said, people are fed up with politics. He said, I hear you, we have not been good enough. So there was an acknowledgement there from Andy Burnham about the disillusionment in politics and saying that it was time to raise the game. He then said what principles were coming into office. He said it would be a circuit break for Britain. He said a new political model, a new economic model to take power from here in Westminster to every postcode. And he spoke there of a new plan for Britain, a 10-year plan, rather like Keir Starmer at the election promised a decade of national renewal. And Andy Burnham said as Prime Minister he will set that out later this year. He then moved on to the shorter term, talking about people needing some breathing space now, and he said that he would set out measures from tomorrow and how he will pay for them. And that was what we were talking about earlier, some of these cost of living measures. He said he would help young people, he would build more council homes, he would meet the fiscal rules, and he would honour commitments on defence, which was a massive ask for Keir Starmer as he left office. And he said we will help people live well. And then he made his big announcement of the day, which was a commitment to ending rough sleeping in the country. That was his pledge for today. And he said, finally, I will give this my all. I ask you to pull with me. Let's make it a moment where Britain believes again and where we can bring back hope. So that was the Andy Burnham first message to the public, and didn't he deliver it well? To do that with a bit of noise in the background in front of all of his allies and friends, no podium, no set speech, a different style of leadership, which I think you saw in that first address. And my goodness, he must have been nervous, right? His first address to the country. And you can see there's his wife, Mary. France calls her Frankie. He's known her since university where they met, and he just looks delighted, doesn't he? And at the other end of the street, his mum Eileen was there with his children, who he embraced, and there were some tears over that end, down that end of the street.
It is 1 o'clock. You are watching Sky News. We now have a new Prime Minister, and that new Prime Minister is Andy Burnham. He spoke here on the steps of Downing Street just a few moments ago to an absolutely packed Downing Street, and he said very clearly that politicians have not been good enough. He said that he was aware of the churn of politicians and that he will try and do better. First of all, by setting out a 10-year plan later this year for national renewal, and also by taking more immediate measures on the cost of living that will be announced tomorrow. He also had his first pledge to end rough sleeping in this country. The tone of his speech and the theme of his speech was about a country that has been let down by decades of failure from politicians. He says that the UK took the wrong turn in the 1980s, so really with the advent of Thatcherism. And he made a point that his premiership will be about trying to help those countries that were the proud industrial heartlands of the United Kingdom and has, in his view, been let down by public contracts, for example, and by devolving power away from Westminster. It was a pretty emotional speech. I'm going to bring in Beth Rigby at this point. You know, I think the thing that perhaps was the most emotional of all was watching his mum watch him, and then that hug at the end.
It was quite emotional actually, but it might be just because I also have a son, so maybe I was pouring my mother feelings into it. But yeah, I mean, look, his mum was there, Eileen, and she stood there and she watched her son, and as I said, he blew her a kiss before she started. She blew one back to him, and then he went and embraced her for a very, very long time. And his family, there he is with his mum, Eileen, and his children, I think, were there as well. And I think he embraced them. But I think we're going to have a listen to what Andy Burnham had to say. Let's listen again.
I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. In doing so, I am acutely conscious that I am the 6th person in the last 10 years to walk up this street, the 7th Prime Minister. To the new challenge. Britain needs to show the world that we can regain our stability once again. And that is our challenge, to make politics work, to make it work better. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be. We will make this moment a circuit breaker for Britain, bringing forward the biggest changes in the last 40 years. A new political model and a new economic model. In the 1980s, Britain took some wrong turns. Political power was centralised, economic power privatised, large parts of the country deindustrialised, and they still haven't recovered. Many feel as though they're still in decline, and they don't have the ability to turn things around. And that's why we will change politics, to make it more collaborative, more about problem solving than point scoring. And we will take power out of here and carry it into every postcode in the land so that they can do more. And in doing more, build a new economy where we put life's essentials back under stronger public control. to make them affordable to you again. Reindustrialising Britain, using public procurement to back British industry. Later this year, I will bring forward a new plan for Britain, a 10-year plan, laying out a path from where we are now to where I believe we all want Britain to be, wherever we're coming from, whatever party we support. But I can do something to give people some breathing space now, some help with the cost of living. And I will set out some of those measures starting tomorrow, including how we pay for them. We will help more young people into work by changing the education system and giving them more support, more mental health support. And we will build more council homes. That is the fair and sustainable way to bring the welfare bill down, to meet our fiscal rules and to honour our commitments on defence to our international partners. We will help people to live well, building a more preventative state, investing in people's success rather than paying for failure. And that work starts now. I will soon go through that door behind me and issue my first instruction to end rough sleeping in our country. It's about putting the right values and the right standards at the heart of government. I will put the care of people at the heart of everything I do. I will give this my all, and I ask you all to pull with me. Let's build a new national sense of unity, of common purpose and positivity. Let us make this the moment when Britain starts to believe again, the moment we bring back hope. Thank you very much, everybody.
I mean, it's still packed here.
It is.
Party vibes almost on the street.
It really does feel like a kind of party atmosphere. I mean, people are so excited, they're taking selfies, they're all hanging around. And look, in the spirit of Andy Burnham doing things slightly differently, he actually did go to a homeless centre at dawn this morning, very early this morning. And on behalf of the broadcast pool, I went along and I interviewed him ahead of becoming Prime Minister about that announcement that he wanted to make on ending homelessness. And I think we can now have a listen, can we, to what Andy Burnham said this morning, just hours before he became Prime Minister.
Andy, you're promising to end rough sleeping at the earliest opportunity, but on your own record as Mayor in Manchester, the figures have gone up. Under your leadership, rough sleeping has risen.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want, and watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand in any direction. From tools built for one, to platforms ready for many. From passion projects to enterprise-grade systems. Everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation, where you can go as far as your imagination takes you. Can you imagine it? Let's make your dream a reality, right now.
In the pandemic, and that's what I'm saying as I go into government today. We did it then, we can do it now, get the basics right, put a care for people at the heart of everything that we do, and just get this country working as it should again.
Okay, and You said on Friday in your speech as you accepted the Labour leadership that you want to deliver the biggest change in our politics in 40 years. It sounds like a massive ambition for which you do need a mandate beyond the 25,000 people who voted for you in the Makerfield by-election. When are you going to call a general election?
Well, we're in a parliamentary democracy, and as we've seen through time, if somebody can command the majority of the MPs in the House of Commons, obviously they then have the legitimacy to lead things forward. And I will lead forward consistent with the manifesto, which also talked about change. And I now want to work on the platform that Keir Starmer has left to deliver that change, a massive change in our politics. That's what Number 10 North is about, taking the power out of Westminster and Whitehall into every postcode in the land, and from there building a new economy. And that's what I will talk about today, putting the basics under stronger public control to make them affordable to people again, reindustrialising Britain, using public procurement to back British industry. These are big changes. They are the biggest changes in 40 years. We've had 40 years of trickle-down economics, which hasn't trickled down very much at all to many parts of Britain. You go up and down the country, you can see high streets in decline, communities that never recovered from the deindustrialisation of the 1980s, and this is what I'm about changing.
But you are going to stick to the manifesto, just to be clear. You are not going to go beyond the manifesto of 2024.
I will stick to the manifesto. I will be bold and I will be true to what it says, but there are big changes that I can implement coming from that manifesto. It is about a new political model. Okay. It is about a new economic model for the country.
Can I ask you about that new political model? Because you also talked about unity and bringing the party together and a different kind of politics and leading by example. But in recent days, there have been very aggressive anonymous briefings against Ed Miliband, a close ally of yours, over the Chancellorship. It's upset a lot of people in your party, and it shows really that Labour are more of the same under you, that the infighting doesn't stop.
Well, I just reject that entirely. They haven't come from my team, and I'm appalled at those briefings. I'm appalled at any colleague being on the receiving end of an anonymous briefing. And coming back to Westminster, I kind of see that having gone to another level, and it really does demean our politics. And you know, for me, that is what I'm coming in to change, to get some kind of respect back, some teamwork going. And that's not just within the Labour Party. I'm talking about a different type of politics. You know what I feel very strongly? I don't believe politicians get the right to stand on someone's doorstep and point fingers at everyone else when all politics has not been working for people. All parties have failed in one way or another. You don't get the right to point fingers when you've not been good enough yourselves, and that's what I'm coming in with, that honesty, and myself included. My generation of politicians hasn't been good enough. Things have been in flux for a long time now. We all have to be better, and that's my message. We have to change the way we do politics, turn the country around. You know, nobody can be happy with the fact that we're seeing all of this turbulence, and I'm conscious that I'm the 6th person to walk up Downing Street in the last decade. That isn't good enough. We need to be better. We will be better.
And you are going to become Prime Minister later today. You didn't talk about foreign policy in your speech to the Labour Party really on Friday. Who's your first call? Is it to President Trump? Is it to President Zelensky? Is it to someone else?
Those will be my first calls. And I'll be making very clear later today to President Zelensky that, you know, there is no change. I will be with him 100%, as Keir Starmer has been, and Keir has done really quite an incredible job in not just backing Ukraine, but being there in a personal way, and I will be absolutely there for him in the same way. I've worked with Ukrainian mayors over the last few years. I've built a network of support for Ukrainian mayors. I take all of that experience into my new role, and President Zelensky will be left in no doubt whatsoever that Britain's support is steadfast, it is resolute, it will be there for him and I will be...
Once you try eBay's AI listing features, selling just feels like a life hack. You take the photo, AI helps write the details. Download the app and sell for free on eBay.
Contemplate what is about to happen, not just to you and your family, but the whole country.
Well, I'm feeling ready. I've had a long journey to this point, but I am ready to lead. I know what I want to do. There's a reason why I'm here at the shelter in Victoria this morning. An amazing shelter that supports people who are street homeless, people recovering from homelessness. It was the best place to start, to kind of see what is being done here, the lives that are being turned around. And it's not just about, you know, me going into a job, it's about what you're going to do with it. Do you have a plan? Am I going to back places like this so that they can do more? That is what it's all about. As people will see, I am clear about what I want to do. I know what I think the country needs. I am ready to lead, and I'm ready to make a difference.
Are you a bit nervous?
Well, it's obviously a big thing, isn't it, to step up in this way. But I think I've got to have a degree of that. If you weren't, you wouldn't be human. But you know, I've been in politics a long time. I do bring a lot of experience to this, particularly from the ground up as Mayor of Greater Manchester. I think that will make a difference in the way that I go about this role. So, of course, the nerves are there, but you know, I'm also confident in what I'm doing, in what I'm about, and as I said, I'm ready.
Andy Burnham, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Andy Burnham there speaking to our own political editor, Beth Rigby, who we can speak to now. What did you make of his, I guess, mood, what his key messages?
I'll be honest, it was very unusual. I mean, he's about to become Prime Minister. He's got a massive moment to address the nation. And he used the very early morning. I mean, we did that very early in the morning. He used that to go to a homeless centre to make this announcement on ending homelessness in this country. And I have to say, he tried to do this in Manchester and he was successful up to a point. But then people realised that if you went to Manchester and were homeless, you would get housed, and then the policy was not successful. And he made the point in that clip: it only works if the whole country pulls together. And isn't that the theme of his premiership? That is the message he wants to get across. He wants to lift people up, he wants to help people, and he wants the country to pull together. So in a way, that policy is quite fitting. On the other things there in that interview, he insists that he will stick to the manifesto. And that, I don't know how long that will stand if he's going to announce this decade plan for Britain in the autumn. It will inevitably raise questions about an early general election. So let's just say it now, because I'm sure that that will be a continuing talking point. When I asked him about infighting in the Labour Party, what had happened around Ed Miliband and briefings, he looked very unhappy, and he said he rejected that and he was not endorsing infighting and he wanted that to end. He then said on foreign policy that he would stand with Zelensky, which of course is what Starmer was asking for in Ukraine last week. And I think for Zelensky, that will be very reassuring. He said he's going to speak to him later today. And then finally, quite a human answer. You're about to be Prime Minister. How do you feel? He's obviously incredibly excited to have that role, but he said, I'm human and I'm a bit nervous. And as I said, this is a kind of slightly different way of doing the job, a much more human, natural, authentic Prime Minister now that we are seeing. And I think by doing that clip today at that homeless centre, so it's not all just the formality of the Downing Street moment, was a sign to the country about kind of a signature policy that he wants to push through. And I think it will be well supported as well, because I don't know about you, but I think everyone around the country, they don't like seeing homelessness and people with nowhere to sleep on their streets.
It's absolutely it. It's interesting, isn't it, Beth, talking there about the kind of authenticity, the different ways of doing things, which we are seeing the signs of already, and then the test, I guess, in those days and weeks ahead. Thanks very much, Beth. there. Let's speak now, shall we, to James Lyons, former Downing Street Director of Communications for Keir Starmer, who I'm sure is listening well across what Andy Burnham was saying as well. First of all, apologies for the delay in getting to you, by the way, been extremely patient, and we really appreciate that. What did you make of Andy Burnham's speech?
Well, look, I thought he was optimistic, he was confident, he was fluent, and actually my phone was lit up with messages praising what he said, not just for the vibes, but also for the policy substance. As Beth was just saying, homelessness is not just something that is a kind of scar on the conscience of this country, but it's a scar on the face of many communities across this country as well.
Do you think, how much of a change do you think he is going to be from Keir Starmer? How much of a change does he need to be?
Well, look, the country is absolutely crying out for change, and clearly, despite his best efforts, Keir was not able to deliver that at a pace and...
Everyone thinks they know the market, but do you really know where to move?
Where? It means nothing. Without the why. Why? But how do you find...
People follow him.
He will take over from Keir Starmer as UK Prime Minister on Monday. There's been widespread speculation about Mr Burnham's appointments, with Ed Miliband and Shabana Mahmood thought to be in the running to replace Rachel Reeves as Chancellor. Our political correspondent Jack Fenwick reports.
It's a job he's been after for more than 15 years. Now Andy Burnham has a little over 48 hours to make his final preparations. He's expected to spend this weekend with his family, beginning the move into number 10, now that his predecessor Sir Keir Starmer has packed up and moved out. The formalities surrounding a changeover of power have become familiar in the UK in recent years. On Monday, this will be the scene of Sir Keir Starmer's final speech as Prime Minister and Andy Burnham's first. All eyes will then stay on the famous street to see which cabinet ministers-to-be appear. Yesterday, Mr Burnham reckoned the decisions on who to appoint were still being finalised.
It would be somewhat premature and would, I think, cause something of chaos if you start half a reshuffle before you're in position.
I guess there's a difference between announcing them and waiting until Monday for that and knowing in your own mind.
Yeah, the decisions will be made very shortly and it will be done in the usual way.
Key Burnham allies such as the Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy, Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander, Labour's Deputy Leader Lucy Powell, the former Transport Secretary Louise Haigh and the Chief Whip Jonathan Reynolds are all tipped. Senior figures from Starmer's government, including the Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper and the Work and Pensions Secretary Pat McFadden, will likely expect jobs too. And then there's the question of what to do with the former Health Secretary Wes Streeting and the former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, who at times were both talked up as potential leadership rivals, then in the end backed Burnham. But choosing his Chancellor will be the most important decision, with speculation among MPs rife that it could be the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood or the Energy Secretary Ed Miliband. Many on the left of the Labour Party have made it clear which choice they'd prefer.
I personally think that Shabana has got many skills. She has a background in the justice sector and she hasn't got the experience in the Treasury, and that's a department where you really do need to understand, and therefore just drawing on that vision about using people's experience. I think that other people can probably use their past experience in the Treasury. Ed Miliband clearly has walked those planks before, and therefore seeing him there I think is just a stronger choice.
Andy Burnham has expressed his frustration at speculation over his cabinet, but the personnel he chooses will matter when it comes to uniting a divided party, being able to convey a message and bringing forward policy to change people's lives. On that last point, those around the incoming PM have made it clear we can expect a flurry of announcements early on, as he hopes to hit the ground running. Jack Fenwick, BBC News, Westminster.
Are we good? Well, amidst that likely flurry of announcements, one of the things that BBC News has been told that Andy Burnham will announce is plans for renewed oil and gas drilling in the North Sea when he becomes Prime Minister on Monday. Would that break Labour's 2024 manifesto promise not to allow oil and gas exploration? I put that question to Dr. Mark Ireland, a lecturer in energy geoscience at Newcastle University.
I guess firstly it should be clear that the two developments that are being talked about quite a lot at the moment, the Rosebank and Jackdaw, are not necessarily new exploration licenses. There are discovered resources and reserves there, which those companies want to bring onto production as soon as possible. So in that sense, not really. I think the issuing of new exploration licenses, that is in areas that currently there is no active drilling, would be a big shift by the incoming leader.
Yeah, and presumably would put him at odds with Ed Miliband, who has been the champion of net zero targets. So do you read into this, Mark, that potentially Miliband is out of the running for Chancellor?
I think there's an important distinction to make about the compatibility with oil and gas and net zero. It's not a black and white net zero requires no oil and gas. All the credible pathways to net zero require the UK and other countries around the world, they continue to use oil and gas during that transition. So I think the challenge that we've had is that the Labour government haven't really previously put forward a clear and credible pathway for how to manage our oil and gas demand in that transition period.
Right, that's an interesting point. I mean, it's also an area that Donald Trump has been very keen for the UK to explore. So, you know, if Burnham does go ahead with this, presumably would please the Trump administration and I suppose lead to criticisms from environmental groups that he's kind of caving into pressure from the White House.
I think what we need to have a much harder look at is I think any immediate announcements are unlikely to involve any significant changes to how the UK regulates and licenses and makes decisions about which developments might be compatible with those pathways. And so I think, yeah, it would kind of be at odds, but I think longer term they need to have a much clearer plan for, as we need oil and gas in that transition period, how will we evaluate in a fair and systematic way against our net zero obligations which developments could be compatible and also provide us that energy security that we so much hear about, particularly since over the past of the Ukraine conflict and now the conflict in the Middle East.
Dr. Mark Ireland there. Well, my colleague Clive Myrie will be live in Downing Street for a BBC News special. Andy Burnham, the new Prime Minister.
Yeah, we'd like to see what these things.
What about seeing the signals others might make?
I think, the homeless initiative will be very, very widely welcome today. But let's be clear, at the time of the next general election, it will be the cost of living and whether or not people feel better off across this country that he'll be judged on.
Do you think he needs to, I guess, face down a certain side in his party? Because at the minute, I'm just very struck by the unity behind it, which is obviously a great thing, and I think that shows his political acumen, but he's going to have to start making choices and decisions, not least, of course, when it comes to who's going to be Chancellor. That's when things could get tricky.
I mean, as Beth alluded to, they've already got a bit tricky with the kind of, the briefing wars that has gone around the appointment of the Chancellor. And look, that's risks getting worse when he steps through that door and starts making decisions initially about who's leaving the cabinet before he starts making the appointments. This isn't a reshuffle. This is a new cabinet for a new Prime Minister. But whenever you make those decisions, you often make more enemies than you make friends.
You, of course, worked pretty closely with Keir Starmer. And I know we've been talking a lot about how he's going to have his allies will feel like he's had a positive legacy. But his was a premiership that ended in failure. What did Keir Starmer do wrong that Andy Burnham needs to get right?
Well, I think part of what went wrong is Keir came in without a plan. In fact, we had to write one when I was in number 10, which ended up being published as the Plan for Change. But he didn't have those initial announcements up his sleeve. The first weeks of the Starmer government were dominated by stories about freebie specs and suits and Taylor Swift tickets. And they were swiftly followed by the cuts to winter fuel payments to pensioners. So it got off to a very negative start. Whereas what I think you've seen here today is Andy trying to strike a very optimistic, positive note. Talks about making Britain believe in itself again, restoring hope. There's a kind of real hopey-changey thing, as Barack Obama might have called it, thing going on.
Great to have you on the programme, as always. James Lyons, thank you very much indeed. Well, we're joined now by Dale Vince, who's on the street. Can I ask you something? Yeah. Can I ask you something? How does it work when you get... Do you basically make a pitch to be on the street, or does someone give you a call up and say, do you fancy coming in? How does it work?
Holiday planning is full of what-ifs. But Get Your Guide's got all of the answers. Like flexible booking and cancellation. Get Your Guide. Book forward to it.
What do you make of the speech?
Well, I mean, it was similar to the one at the TUC on Thursday last week, and it's full of hope and kind of a bold promise, really. I see things the same way as Andy does in terms of our problems being rooted in the 70s and the 80s and the privatisation and that kind of stuff. I see the role for public investment. We're producing economic studies at the moment that really kind of back that vision and show the potential for the economy if we do some of those things. So I'm overwhelmingly positive and excited about the change that might be about to come.
It's really interesting to hear that whole sort of thread of reindustrialisation in areas that have been let down not just by the last governments but by ones going back for decades. How much do you think he can stray from the manifesto, though, without calling an election?
That's not really something I could give you an answer to. I mean, I can just see the theory, right? The closer you are to the manifesto, the more impervious you are to the calls for a general election, and vice versa. I can see that.
What would you want him to focus on? This is your chance to kind of make a pitch to, Team Burnham. What are the top priorities you'd like to see? Go on then.
Reform the energy market. We can halve our energy bills. That's a big deal, right? I like his national house building program. We've done the studies that show we can double GDP growth if we build 1.4 million homes on brownfield land. It's all there. It's all available waiting to be done. A national rooftop solar program will do the same kind of thing, bring millions of homes into the green economy, knock £400 or £500 off the energy bills of the poorest people among us. Is a brilliant economic move. And then the other one, you got me on the spot now.
This must be really important.
Tax.
Okay.
Reform the tax system, and it is really important, and again helps the people in our economy that have the least money, and it's good for GDP.
Can I ask you about some big cabinet choices that Andy Burnham is going to have to make later on? Because I will be honest, I had assumed that you would be backing at Miliband for Chancellor, but you're not.
No.
Why not?
Well, I think it would be a mistake for a number of reasons. I think his spending decisions in DESNZ have been poor, no value for money at all. Tens of billions of pounds committed to projects that won't even move the dial on carbon, let alone our economy. Jobs that are going to be created at the cost of between £3 and £5 million each. That's not job creation. You might as well just give somebody a lifetime's worth of pay. They're a problem. I think Ed would be a lightning rod for right-wing criticism and stuff like that. And I also think the chancellorship, we've seen it before, when you get a competing, what would you call it, ambition in number 11, that can be a problem for government. So for all of those reasons, I'd say, look, start again, clean start, find somebody else.
Is there anyone that you are backing, or is it just like anyone but Ed Miliband?
I just think it would be a bad choice. I think he could do better, and I'm not like up to date on who could be a great candidate. Obviously, Shabana Mahmood's been suggested, and I've just got no opinion other than that. I just don't think it's the right man for it. I think it'd just be a problem for Andy's government from day one.
Can I ask you about North Sea? Because we've had this Truth Social post overnight from Donald Trump saying it's absolutely brilliant that Andy Burnham is going to start drilling in the North Sea. There's going to be no holds barred on it. Yeah. Is it right what you're saying?
And the Straits of Hormuz are open.
You think we should take it with a pinch of salt, is what you're saying?
Anything that man says. I mean, he's got a fabulous track record, isn't he, of talking fantasy and nonsense.
What is your understanding, though, on what Andy Burnham does want to do when it comes to the North Sea?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But I know it's in the manifesto that we don't drill, and I know there's no economic case for drilling, about 1,000 jobs, there's a year's worth of supply. It can't bring energy bills down, and it can't give us energy security, so I say, why do it? Other than to silence the voices on the right and in his party that are saying, we need to do this, it's about jobs and stuff like that.
I mean, that is a legitimate... I mean, look, so you'd say that, if Unite or some of those unions in the region who are saying, hang on a minute, our economies depend on this, there is no current plan for skilling up these same people in other ways.
But
they're wrong.
That transition is underway in terms of offshore. We've got offshore wind, for example, taking creating jobs now from the oil and gas industry, which has been in decline for 30 years, by the way. Output has been in decline. And we've got 10 years left.
Sharon Graham would argue, of Unite, she would argue that those plans are not ready yet. In other words, you're kind of like jumping off the lifeboat without having the rope in place yet.
Great metaphor. But look, there's 1 million jobs in the green economy already. So I don't think saying they're not in place yet is a correct thing to say.
Okay. When Andy Burnham's there, meeting the staff behind him, what would you like his number one priorities to be then?
Cost action.
Yeah. Okay, good to see you, as always, Delvin's. And I was always...
Timelines, budgets, all in one clear dashboard.
Well, I don't know what the markets are. What are they saying over this side? Okay, they're not saying anything. Okay, we'll go back to Sky News then. I thought they might have given us a different angle. Let's go.
What does Andy Burnham need to do that Keir Starmer didn't?
Well, I think we've already seen how he's going to, what he's outlined, which is understanding the causes of the problems that we've been talking about. What I've noticed over the last couple of years is we've been very good at articulating the symptoms that everybody feels, that people don't feel like they've got enough money in their pockets, they're short on hope and security. And indeed, what we've got from Andy as an explanation of the causes that have contributed to this situation. And you can only address them once you articulate them. And I think that's really important. And then it's about making sure that we've got an understanding about how we address them. And that is about making sure that we are making things here. That we make.
You see, that's what it is. That is what it is. Addressing a problem is, you can have a problem, obviously, if you're in denial. Yeah? But it's how to fix the problem. And you have to fix the problem as well.
Make the most of the skills that we already have in this country, and that we build on those levels of expertise in order to be able to create a growing economy in every postcode. And I think it's vital for me and almost all of my colleagues that is a phrase that we keep repeating, because so many of our places have been overlooked and we do not see the growth that our communities deserve and could be part of.
This is the danger. This is the danger. The danger is it's going to be back to the same old thing. That is a danger. Even Mr. Farage says the same thing, right? He has the solutions, but as far as it is, you have to do something. So this is Andy Burnham's chance to do what he can do, and whether or not to go for a general election and Nigel Farage wins, then he will have to. What he said, stick by what he said. Some big claims there about North and South. You know what I mean? I'm with him. I'm with anyone that wants to fix the country. Because guess what? I'm here. So why wouldn't I?
Contributing to the overall national mission that Andy has articulated. So I think what we've got here is a Prime Minister who knows and understands the root causes of the challenges that the country faces, and is starting to articulate how he will address them. And that, for me, gives me great hope.
You said there about the every postcode thing, and I guess that's something I did want to pick up, because look, I think Andy Burnham is absolutely right, frankly, to say that there are parts of the country in the north of England that have been ignored for too long by politicians from the south. But there will be other people from different parts of the United Kingdom, including places where you represent, who say we need to talk about other places that are not just in the north of England. Tracy Brabin, for example, the mayor ally of Andy Burnham, was dismissing Kate Garraway as typical southerner on the Laura Koonsberg programme. I mean, are those kind of comments helpful?
Well, look, I don't think this is about North and South, and neither does Andy. He said on Friday that he will be a Prime Minister for the North, the South, the East and the West. And my part of the South East quite frequently gets overlooked, is one of the most poor parts of the whole country.
Right, so you said that, but Andy Burnham keeps saying about the North. He keeps going on about the North. He say, you can only, so he's going to have to address that. What does he mean by that? See, London make the most money. It's a fact. London makes the most money. People in London spending the most money. Rent, everything. You don't see people living on the street, people working and have to be getting join the food queue. Oh, me too. And then I said, you know what? Let someone else have it because I know how to budget myself. Yeah. But one time I got my box with my things in. It was amazing, and they brought it right to my house during COVID time. Right, where you couldn't even go and get not you could afford it, but you know to go you know you have to cover up your face. If you ever see the queue, there's a lot of things.
But I don't want to be playing deprivation bingo with my colleagues. Instead, we need to be identifying the opportunity and potential of our places to become more resilient and be able to contribute more to the overall national achievement. And that is what he's talking about. So we can spend our time talking about, you know, points on a compass or which postcode is better off or worse off. What he's talking about is that everywhere deserves to have the kind of focus and the kind of support to grow that some places have had for a long time. It has been taken for granted by the way that Whitehall works, that if you put money into certain parts of the country, you get more money, you get more back than if you do it everywhere else. And that
So okay, so if everything increases, if he gets his way, will it improve? That's the thing. Well, look, it's his time now. Yeah, it's his time now. So whatever his plan is, and Andy Burnham, you know what I mean? You know, he's a man from Liverpool. He fight for Hillsborough. But don't same Keir Starmer, same man, he fight for you reckon he fight for women, yeah? And look what he done to the pensioners. Look who he had. Look who how didn't he know about Peter Mandelson and Diane Abbott and everyone else knew? Why didn't he ask? You wait. Time is now, mate.
Places that are overlooked either just get a handout or are ignored. That's not good enough. We are having an enormous amount of potential in our communities, overlooked or ignored, and that's what he's talking about changing, and that's why we will have hope.
Right now, Andy Burnham is...
Well, look, there's you know, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong with that. I call it the age of Burnham. The age of Burnham, the age of hope, yeah? But just look in the comments and see what the people think.
In the building behind me, we saw him enter it with his wife just a few moments ago. His first big decision is going to be appointing his cabinet, so we're expecting...
At Wayfair, you'll find much more than just furniture. You'll discover easy-to-assemble desks and rugs in sizes that fit like a glove. Find lamps that give the perfect glow.
What do you think he needs to be looking at when he appoints the next Chancellor?
Nah, the Chancellor, obviously, someone that can handle the money properly. Right? Everyone fight down Rachel from accounts. The first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. Then Angela Rayner let me down. I thought Angela Rayner was going to be the one. Angela Rayner have the flat down, whatever. I don't know what she was doing there. Okay? Right? This was the first time in Labour. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. How's the market's going to react to this? This is the sort of things, you know? What's going on in the Middle East? What's going on with Ukraine? What's going on with Russia? What's happening with China? Now, people tell people to go and get work and get job, but okay, what jobs? And for how much? You see me to say you're going to be working, you have to be going down the food bank?
Well, I think the speculation is a bit pointless at this stage because they're going to have some names probably quite soon. But it's going to be looking for the people who are most capable of fulfilling his ambition and will really get to grips with the way that Whitehall works and understanding how that Whitehall needs to change. What I've been struck by in the conversations about devolution, and I've been talking about devolution for a long time, my work before I became an MP was also focused on local government and how we make powers work in people's places, is that if Whitehall thinks that devolution is about handing over a few powers and then if it doesn't work, bringing it back again, it's not understood that it's actually going to require Whitehall to be different, the way that it works to be different, to change the legislation that works at national.
It's going to cost money as well. Okay, any move you make, it's going to cost, you know? Any moves you make. Do we really need that right now? You don't see all the wildfires and train went into the back of the other one. Last time that happened over nearly 30 years ago. Anything happens now we're in war times now. Yeah, you know, see Putin, Ukraine are getting deeper and deeper into Russian territory. They're all hitting places like Moscow. Right? If he clapped them, you know what I mean? And then you got down in the Middle East. So as I said, it's gonna, obviously things come at a cost. The MPs need protecting. Comes at a cost. Some are gonna have to pay for it.
Level to facilitate and enable places like mine to really grow. It's not just about handing stuff over, it's about having a different kind of relationship between national government and the places and the people who make the decisions in the places in which we live. And that, I think, will be what he'll be looking for in those key appointments that he makes. People who really understand.
Let me tell you how we can just sort out the cost of living, the energy prices, yeah? Just cap it and then reduce it or whatever. They got to do something. Then he's all sailing. If he can deal with the cost of living, and then if he can start a industry in the north, if he can provide something, it's all good. It's all gravy, isn't it? Everything's gonna be, you know, the economy will be up. Yeah, investment. But it's easily said than done.
And that place-based economy is so fundamental to an overall better future for this country, and that therefore he wants people who are really going to work and double down on that and will take.
This is the other thing, the cabinet, you know, the cabinet. And look how Mahmoud, she could be the prime minister at one point, you know, but she's come second, innit? Because we already had one, and Richie Sunak, the richest man in Parliament, was Richie Sunak. You have to always be borrowing Boris Johnson a score. Boris Johnson borrow money from can't pay for his own food. Richie Sunak's behind him, and he said, "Oh, sorry, Richie, just add it to my bit." You know what I mean?
Take on Whitehall's sort of shibboleths and assumptions and say, well, we're going to have to do things differently if we're going to get the kind of growth that we need.
Holly.
Yeah, so what's this lady called? Holly. So she's good, you know, she's done her thing. And so it's a 10-year plan, yeah? So that will take you to 2036. What about the electric car ban and all that? Is that still happening? You know, you got your net zero. You got all that investment. Because money have to run before, you know what I mean? So, was he going to tax the rich? Yeah. And then they can turn on him. You got Kemi Badenoch there, Tracy Chapman, yeah? Let's see what happens in Parliament. So that will be on Wednesday. Would it be his first one? So I'm going to have to do my show for that. But this lady sounded good. I'm going to catch her name now.
Holly Willington, thank you very much indeed for being on the programme.
Is it Holly Willington? Yeah, leave it right there. Right there. So that's it. Andy Burnham. Right there, I'm going to leave it because Andy Burnham is a Prime Minister. You know, he fought for Hillsborough, didn't he? That's admirable. So, what have I got? 1, 2, right? Okay, cool. So I can jump off now. I've been on there too long. All right. So there you go. So there's a new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham. The age of Andy Burnham